wait for people to get on into the new stream.
It's only 3 hours back, or 4, is...
So then, hello and welcome back, everybody. Sorry for that stream. I'm not too sure what happened. The stream was off, so we're back now anyway, with only 5 minutes left of Q2. And if you want to look on your screen now, these are how the times have evolved. Sexy still leads with a 1:15.8. These aren't really the times we were even seeing in RT yesterday, or even tier 2 on Friday, but nevertheless, welcome back to everybody getting into the new stream now. Lewis has retired. I'm not 100% sure why, but Lewis is out of this session, and of course 10 cars will take to the track for Q3. So one's already out, which is Lewis, and Konyo, UFR, Optimal and Zakopoulos currently in the drop zone, and Jack McKee, the driver, at risk. So this could potentially be a moment to savour. 4 minutes to go. Take a mental picture of the cars on the screen, and yeah, we will have a look to see who will be getting through. But 7, oh wow, 2 views all the way up to 7. But nevertheless, here comes Sexy. No, sorry, who was that? That was an Alfa Romeo that just came out of the pit lane. Sorry, I don't have my track map on. Need to get that back on, and it was an Alfa Romeo, and that's the Mercedes, I believe, of Vax. Is either Vax? No, it's Jack McKee coming out of the pit lane, and of course, this is a crucial part of qualifying for this man. He's probably going to have one more lap to find the pace needed to make his way out of this session, and in doing so, he'd have to beat 1:16.851. So it's going to be interesting to see. Sorry, nevertheless then, the orange helmet of, he looks a bit like a chicken there, but he's in P10 at the moment. He is currently P10, of course, and he needs a 1:16.851, as previously mentioned. His teammate is P7. Maybe that comes as a bit of a surprise for some of us, as of course he's been dominating so far in this qualifying session for the Merc crew. But nevertheless, here he comes into Sector 2 now. Into Sector 3 now is the Mercedes driver. He's coming back downhill, and then he'll come into the penultimate and final corner, and you never know, he might be able to get 2 in, but of course with battery charge that's going to be difficult. So this may potentially be his final lap in Q2, and you never know, his final lap in qualifying is very much on the cards. Here we go then, DRS activated on the main straight again. Let's go, as he comes back onto the main straight for the second time. The first time he posted a 1:16.9. He's looking to improve on that and get himself through. We have a flurry of cars between 4th and 9th coming out of pit lane to start their outlap. Yellows in sector 2 and 3. That's for an Alpha Tauri of Zakopoulos. I'm not 100% sure. He's probably just going slow, or he's maybe had a crash because he's not on that outlap by my screen. So here comes Jack McKee coming up coming uphill to the end of sector 1. 1 tenth quicker. That would put him into the Q3 shootout. But he's just gone past the Williams or Paddock Sunsky, I believe, as he comes back downhill in a couple of moments' time to take uphill right and then up to the chicane, where he will then find himself in the final sector of this racetrack. So many historic events have happened here in Imola. You've got Senna cross-crashing out before the race even started. 3 tenths up is Jack McKee. You've had Lewis Hamilton win here. You've had Michael Schumacher here. All the greats have won here relatively. I think Lewis Hamilton won the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix 3 years ago now, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But nevertheless, here we go then into the penultimate corner of what is arguably one of the most historic tracks in Formula 1. Jack McKee then out of the final corner now. DRS activated. Is it good enough to get him out of the drop zone? Yes, it is. Up into P5 goes the Mercedes. 5 tenths quicker than his previous attempt. And he's in the middle at the moment, so I don't think he's going to get back round for another attempt. So Jack McKee may be safe. Arpanik Sunsky, who was quickest in Q1, he may not be safe. He, I think, is on a hot lap at this moment in time. You can see the ERS burning, which means therefore he is on a hot lap. So Arpanik Sunsky, not ideal. Looks a bit, again, shaky on the steering. 2 tenths quicker, 3 tenths quicker in the first sector. So that shakiness is proving to be nothing for him. Thomas has retired and he's 10th. So he may well be saying goodbye to this session. He will be saying goodbye to this session because he's been pushed out of the top 10 by, I'm not 100% sure who just pushed him out. I think it may have been Kieran May. But nevertheless, Cher has gone up to P4, which pushes Sunsky down a position, and he's just been pushed down another position because Kieran May has gone up to 3rd. Konyo has retired, and the first 2 cars to confirm that they're not going to be doing any more action is Sex and Araludo. They're done and they should be through. They're the only 2 men that have dropped into the 115 throughout the session. Here comes Arpanik Sunsky then into the penultimate corner. He's got the Mercedes of, I believe, Jack McKee ahead of him, or maybe Vax. It's Jack McKee. But Arpanik Sunsky to the line then. Is it good enough for Q3? Yes, it is. Up into 2nd goes Arpanik Sunsky, and he's become the 3rd man to go into the 1 minute 15s here in Q2. Sunsky confirms his place in Q3. Another man that is yet to do so, but nevertheless, he's out of qualifying as the McLaren of Eweg. He's out here in Imola, and there's only 1 man yet to complete a lap, and I think he's on an in lap, and this man I also think is on an in lap. Nevertheless, he's still pushing. So maybe he is not on an in-lap at this moment in time, but he will soon be coming into the pit lane because he's just gone down by 4 seconds. So that's it, folks. And only one of the cars that is out here is yet to, is only on track. So Zakapula's out, Thomas out, Ewag out, Lewis out. My predictions, just a bit off. And that's it, folks, for Q2. 1 more session to go here in Imola. Now, as I mentioned, my predictions are a slight bit off. I said Thomas was out, got that one right. Eweg out, got that one right. Thought Zakapoulos would be through, but he's proved me wrong, as many drivers do. But nevertheless, out of qualifying as a McLaren, and in a couple of moments' time, we will go through your Q2 order. So then, guys, here's your Q2 order. Sexy, back at the top. The championship leader tops Q2. Arpanik Sunsky was P1 in Q1. It's P2 in Q2. Maybe it's going to be P3 in Q3. Araludo on the mediums. The only man who dared to go on the mediums is all the way up in P3 with a 1:15.9. That's impressive from the McLaren driver. Kieran May, after leaving it late once again, is in 4th. Twitch Konyo in 5th. Cher BM in 6th after posting a few impressive lap times. The 2 mates in 7th and 8th, that's Rated and Vax. In 9th is Jack McKee. UFO Optimal squeezes himself through by a 10th. Zakapoulos, who I thought would be through, is out. The Greekman couldn't set a nice enough lap after crashing early on. Thomas in 12th, Eweg in 13th, and the man who did not set a lap time, the only man not to set a lap, was F1 Lewis in last in this session in 14th. And we're going to take a quick break before we get going for the final session here in qualifying. Well, hello and welcome back to the top 10 shootout Q3, the final part of qualifying, the main event. We leave everything as best to last here. And Aiden actually has just joined the session, P3 in the championship. That's very crucial, and that will give this man something to think about as he exits the pit behind his teammate. And that's probably some slipstream games going on between the Ferrari teammates. However, of course, the Brazilian helmet, I think it's themed as for the Brazilian driver. And this is a track where Brazilians seem to profit. Nelson Piquet has won before here. Emerson Fittipaldi, I think, maybe has won before here. And certainly Ayrton Senna has won here. And of course, also suffered his fatal and tragic crash here in Imola. Tamburello, of course, was re-sectioned after his death. It was changed into a chicane, as a lot of corners were in Formula 1, and of course a lot of talks of safety and whether Formula 1 should even exist. But aren't we grateful it exists now, because this is the kind of things that that follow with it, of course. But of course, safety has come a long way in the last 30 years, and it's almost 40 years actually. Is it, or is my math wrong? No, it's almost 30 years. It's not quite 30 years. Have I got that wrong again? No, it's almost 30 years. In 2024, which is next year, it will be 30 years. It will mark 30 years since Ayrton Senna's death, and time does go quickly. You could ask your parents the exact same thing and they would back you up on it. So here comes L2 Sexy then, the Brazilian driver carrying the Brazilian helmet for this weekend's race. DRS activated, he begins his lap. Let's get all that data necessary back up. So let's have a look at his sector time. Look at the top right corner if you want to be seeing that. Your championship leader, fastest in Q2, is looking to make it a provisional pole in Q3. The first man that will set provisional pole will be Twitch Conyo. He was laid out of the pit lane in Q2. Here he comes. L2 Sexy then, round in turn 5 now. He got very good there. He looks very quick as he's purple in sector 1 with a 24.3. This is quick from the Brazilian L2 Sexy. It looks extremely quick from Sexy. Twitch Conyo will be the first man to set provisional pole, but I think this man is going to smash that. 2 men yet. Every man is out of pit lane, but 2 men yet to start their flying laps, and that's Urafa Optimal and Jack McKee. Nevertheless, uphill goes L2 Sexy. This looks extremely quick from the Ferrari driver. Upshifts and downshifts are to the crisp as he goes for a 53 in the middle sector. This is looking strong from the Ferrari. Twitch Conyo is about to set the provisional pole time, the benchmarker for the rest of the cars to follow, but I don't think this man needs a benchmarker the way he's performing at the moment. I don't think he needs any more incentive to go quicker than you think he would. 1:16.7 for Conyo, but he's had a little bit of a error in the final corner, but how badly will that affect him? Because he's still gone with a 1:15.6, and if he does that with a mistake, I hate to see what he could do, but Aaron Ludo goes even quicker than that with a 1:15.3. And as we saw L2 Sexy go to a 1:15.6 with a slight error, I said, what can we expect from him after? But Aaron Ludo just proving how quick he's been throughout this session as he goes to the provisional pole. And if that was a front row start between these two all weekend, every single race, it's been between 2 men, of course. It all started in Tier 3 between Splandi and Jesla. And then yesterday it was between Dylan and Arapatic. And today it looks like it's going to be between Araludo and Sexy. But as you know, it doesn't always finish in that order, and it hasn't finished in that order throughout. So let's go on board with Jack McKee, who's is he starting a lap now? Yeah, he has just started his first flying lap of this qualifying session in Q3. So here we go, Jack McKee coming towards the end of sector 1. It looks quick. It's purple for the Mercedes driver. Could we have a third contender for pole in the mix here? The Mercedes driver now in sector 2 will be going uphill and downhill, reminiscent of the Mazda circuit in America. But Jack McKee here in Imola tonight is looking to set pole under the sun. Uphill we go then to end sector 2 in the middle sector. How quick is it? Is it purple? No, yes it is. 55. That is really quick from the Mercedes driver. 2 purples. Is this a provisional pole? He did a 24 something in the first sector and a 50.5 in the middle. Here we go then, the penultimate corner. Nice on the brakes, get up on the curve nicely, and you should be set for the final corner, which he was. Here he comes and staying just within the limits of the track. Here we go to the line. Jack McKee is up onto this second row of the grid. It wasn't good enough for provisional pole, but Jack McKee has done himself proud with that. 1:16 on the dot. And he's just pushed himself above Kieran May to push himself onto the second row of the grid. And as we saw with Milo yesterday, the best of the rest was very important when it came race time. But Jack McKee then, third in this qualifying session. Every other car is in the pit lane. Twitch Cornio is about to come back out. 6 minutes to go, and the race for pole will be on after this short break. Well, hello and welcome back to the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix final section of this qualifying session. And our Ludo, of course, is currently P1 in this session. Sexy, though, is going to be setting his final lap before our Ludo, it seems. He may have time for 2 as he's come out with 5 minutes to go. Conyo out, about to start his hot lap, his potentially final hot lap in this session. We await it. However, at this moment in time, L2 Sexy, the Brazilian man, the championship leader after coming back to win in Miami in such fantastic circumstances, coming now into the chicane where it all turned pairside for another Ferrari yesterday, and that was Arapadik Sunski. But of course, he was only thinking about Araludo, and relatively that's still realistic for the Ferrari driver. However, his nearest championship rival, Aiden, is back in this race. He's going to be racing for the Alfa Romeo team, I presume. But here comes Sexy then, DRS activated now as he starts potentially his final hot lap, but I reckon he'll go for one cooldown and then another one, where he may catch his biggest rival for this pole, Araludo. But nevertheless, let's go on board with the Ferrari to see what he's got for us in this final 5 minutes of qualifying, to see where he can put his Ferrari. Is it going to be good enough for provisional pole? Is it going to be good enough just for that front row? Or will he not even improve and maybe drop further down? It looks very fine from the Ferrari driver. 1.5 tenths up in the first sector. It looks strong from the Ferrari driver, but we've said that previously, and it's all fallen to bits for some drivers out there on track throughout the weekend. Sexy, we've enjoyed seeing these cars go around Imola all weekend, and surely now the men that have been in pretty much every session have surely mastered it. But that's not the case. The man who's only been in one race all weekend, and it's this one, has seemed to master the track conditions immediately. He's another 10th up in the middle sector. Oh, we got a bit pear-shaped coming out of the chicane, and that may cost him dearly. He's not invalidated it. That may be reported though, because he's cut across the grass there and may have gained an advantage. Into the penultimate corner we go. Sexy trying to stay off those curbs now after seeing what happened to him during the chicane. It looks all out of shape for him. And is he coming into the pit lane? Yes, he is, because that soon turns sour for the Ferrari driver, who it looks so promising for in the first and middle sector. He was 2 tenths up overall, and it all fell to pieces in that chicane where he went up onto the gravel. As we see Araludo come out, as one comes in, the other comes out, as Araludo, as he sees his rival come in after a mistake, he sees himself come out to try and retain that crown. No Sebastian Vettel Singapore fanatics happening tonight, but maybe it still may be a pole for the McLaren as he exits the pit lane, currently sitting on provisional pole. Can he maintain that? 2.5 minutes to go. Twitch Conyo is on a hot lap, and he's also made a mistake somewhere because he's invalidated it, and also by doing so coming back into the pit lane. A few cars starting to exit the pit lane. This is the Mercedes of Vax on Zero Ping. This is the ultimate, this is the, time all the cars will be flooding out of the pit lane if they're going for one run and one only. I think Sexy's and Conyo's plan were to do one and a cooldown, but that's not going to happen. Conyo has retired from the session, so I'm not 100% sure why. He still had time to go out, but he's proven not to, and he may find himself last, but that's yet to be seen. Vax on Zero Ping on an out lap. The Mercedes, his teammate, is the best of the rest at the moment, and his teammate is on a hot lap at the moment, it seems, as Jack McKee coming through the first sector. He will catch his teammate surely before the end of his flying hot hot lap as he comes now towards the end of sector 1. How many times have we seen cars go through there? He couldn't quite improve. 600th down. That's the first time we haven't really seen a car improve through sector 1. But nevertheless, the track's still gripping up, but it's still gripping up maybe his hand, because a lot of drivers seemingly making a lot of mistakes at the back end of this session. Jack McKee coming uphill, right-hander. That's nice on the brakes. He's got quite nicely up on the curb there. Coming towards the end of sector 2. Is it good enough for a purple? He's gone a tenth quicker, almost a tenth and a half quicker in the middle sector. Jack McKee may finally be sticking it together, and Sexy, who's now re-exited the pit lane, may be feeling a bit of pressure, especially after his mistake. Mercedes, move out of the way, for God's sake. He's moved out of the way. That's his teammate after all. Jack McKee coming into the last corner. We said they'd catch each other, and eventually they did. Hoping now that he didn't have any side effects from that. Jack McKee goes to the line and moves up into the second row. He's jumped Sexy and has gone up into the second row. The Mercedes jumps the Ferrari, and Jack McKee, he can't go for another one, but can he hold on is yet to be seen. L2 Sexy is starting his hot lap now. He needs to respond, and with only a limited amount of time to prepare after seeing Jack McKee jump him, it's yet to be seen. And I think that little, not coming together, but that little pass with each other. Oh, that's someone in the gravel, and no, Araludo, who improved in the first sector, is rounding the second, and now he's just got to have his fingers crossed that this man does not jump him for pole. Araludo, when the pressure got to him, may have flustered himself, because Sexy has gone a tenth up in the first sector. Araludo will not be setting a lap quicker than a 1 minute 15, because he has not crashed, he's spun and will not have time to improve. He is out of this session, and Sexy is the only man that realistically can challenge that pole. However, Kieran May has dipped into the 1 minute 15s after going 2 tenths quicker, but he looks to have bought it. So this is the only man. He's another tenth up, almost 2 tenths up. He's on it, he's on for it. Sexy may hold this all together and may get pole position, the championship leader. And this is the reason why he's a championship leader. Into the final few corners. Sexy, oh no! Was that a potentially pole deciding mistake for Sexy? He's dropped to 4th as his teammate jumps him. But Sexy to the line. It doesn't matter, the mistake does matter, because that has cost him pole. Araludo, who had a mistake that could have cost him pole, but he's been saved by the fact that Sexy in the final sector, in his final lap, on the final minute of the final seconds of this qualifying session, has cost himself pole. And Araludo has a first pole of the season after Sexy behind him. They've all cracked under the pressure. Jack McKee, Sexy, and the final man to hop aboard the crack train was Araludo. And ultimately, that's your final order, folks, because Sexy is not on pole. It's Araludo, the Spaniard, is on pole. And after all of the drama that he had on his final hot lap, after spinning the car around, he's held it, because Sexy's mistake did put him above Jack McKee. But if he didn't make that mistake, we may have had a different scenario. Eventually 6 cars managed to get in the 115s, including Sunski, but Araludo is on pole for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix out of nowhere, really. He's come into this race. It wasn't out of nowhere in this race, because he has been the quickest man throughout, and Araludo is on pole for the first time this season. And as he says in the chat, oh my god, and he may be in a state of shock, because he may not have expected it. He definitely didn't expect it in Q1. He expected the likes of Sexy to come up. He thought he would lose it with the mistake, but he hasn't. He's held it. And Araludo on pole then for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. And that's a pole for McLaren. And let's go through your order in full. Araludo takes pole after a magnificent session throughout. Sexy, with a mistake, cost him pole. And Jack McKee in 3rd, the Scotsman, had a brilliant session and was better than the rest. Rated jumped his teammate for a moment in time, however, eventually dropped to 4th. Kieran May, another man to drop into the 115s, in 5th. Arpad Sunski, the final man to drop into the 115s, and barely. Cher in 7th. He was a bit quiet throughout the session. Konya retired early on. He could get 8th at best, and I'm sure he'd be decently happy with that. UFR optimal for the Aston Martin team in 9th, and Vax on 0 ping rounds off the session in 10th. I think he'll be grateful enough to at least get into Q3. We're going to take a quick break, but when we're back, the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Well, after a dramatic qualifying session, I can guarantee you we're in for the exact same in the race. We'll have a formation lap. That's a predicted pit stop strategy. Mediums to hards, and then a two-stop mediums to mediums, then to hards. Or you could do that in reverse of a medium hard to medium, but the predicted pit stop times are a medium to hard in 14 to 19 laps, a two-stopper in laps 12 to 19 and 22 to 29. So that's a very minimal pit gap for the medium stint. So probably a two-stop could potentially be more realistic. Let's get all the details you'll need for this race. Lap data, and we'll go for the tyres. There are your tyre choices, folks. Again, we've seen it with Sander Jan and the likes of Vax. Sexy has gone on the hard tyre, and his rival ahead of him will go on the medium. So there's only one man that's dared to go on the soft, and that's Twitch Conyo. He went on the soft towards the end of the race yesterday and has decided that they're the best tyre to start this race on. And apparently Aiden's points will go to Alfa Romeo. He is an Alfa Romeo driver, but of course joining late, he is in the Alfa Tauri. Show them a couple of corners, and then it'll be pedal to the metal, go 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 for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, the third round of the Tier 1 season. And the only man who on the soft is the man you're looking at, and he's gonna have to be boxing early, optimal. He was on the hard yesterday, was Vax, and 2 cars have been disqualified, which means they'll be starting further back in their grid slot. And another man onto the grass, which is Lewis, and the formation lap. And they're about to get towards the grid. Dylan, of course, after making a mistake, he could have been challenging for pole, but now he's in P15. So then, the final man to line up on the grid is the AlphaTauri of XPG8, and third in the championship. L2 Sexy is first in the championship, and it's the 1 light, the 2 light, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and it's pedal to the metal, go, go, go. Sexy seemed to have a better getaway initially, but Araludo then pulled away in the second phase. Raided his bumping wheels from Kieran May, and he's ended up in the wall as Kieran May. It's turned to disaster from the start. He had a minimal wheel bump with TTV rated and has ended up in the wall, and pirouettes around to get back on the track, but dramatic start for the Red Bull, but Sexy, who seemed to have a better start. Araludo then pulling away in the second phase of the start. Cornio on the soft with a magnificent start all the way up into third. Raided after the collision, dropped behind Conyo, and Thomas with another good start up into fourth. Here is the position changes, guys. 7 positions gained by Thomas, that's a brilliant start, and 5 gained by Cornio, so that's a really good start. Of course, Kieran May's awful start has seen him 16th, but Jack McKee had an even worse start seemingly, as he has ended up in 18th. But a lot of minor incidents happening from the start, and maybe Kieran May might be coming into the pit lane. Maybe this man is trying to overtake TTV rated, but he won't be going it for we won't be going it for it there because he's not close enough. But he's going to go downhill now behind the back of the Ferrari. Let's have a look on board as the Red Bull, the sparks beaming off onto that Red Bull chassis, and getting a bit out of shape. There was the Red Bull, but let's see what you've got in a straight line. That may be already 1 track limit warning for the Red Bull, as Araludo already gapped Sexy by a second. And imagine if Sexy was on the mediums, how much of a start he would have got. And Sexy has actually been overtaken by Twitch Conyo. What a start by Twitch Conyo on the soft tyre, and he's been overtaken. He's overtaken, Sexy, who we almost thought would be in the lead by the time we got to turn 1 in lap 1, but he's ended up P3 in lap 2, as his teammate is now behind him, and I don't think he's going to try and attack his teammate, TTV rated. He's still got Thomas. Thomas has kind of backed off a little bit. Kostya, Thomas' teammate, has had a little incident. down at turn 6 or 7, I think it is, and he's just staying within the points, and a few cars already having to come into pit lane. Kieran May stayed out, Dylan exiting the pit lane, and so is Jack McKee. They both had to come into pit lane. I think Jack McKee was the car that was latched onto the side of Kieran May, a bit more quieter down there, but here's the action. Araludo leads by 2 seconds early on, but Sexy trying to make his way back around the Alfa Romeo on lap 2 here. We're about to start lap 3 of this race. It's not 18 cars remain. Thomas has got a disqualification for God knows what. Here comes Sexy then, trying to attack the Alfa Romeo, but the Alfa Romeo seems quite handy in a straight line. Araludo setting a quicker, faster lap by about 6 seconds, and Conyo getting a bit out of shape, almost onto the grass. DRS is enabled. He doesn't need DRS. He's trying to find the outside line. L2 Sexy into turn 1 we go. They're almost touching. L2 Sexy didn't get the optimal line because of how close he was to colliding with Conyo. Conyo's off the track. That's a crucial incident in this race. Twitch Conyo off onto the grass, and he's gifted the position to Sexy, but Sexy gets through them. And the Twitch Conyo, who was second in this race and pulled away a little bit after turn 1, is now into 12th and it's off into the gravel, and it's all gone pear-shaped for the Alfa Romeo driver. That's crucial in the context of Sexy's race, let alone this man's. He's down into 12th on the soft tyres, and that may compromise his entire strategy. 3 laps gone, and Vax is now into the pit lane and has also changed onto the medium tyre. He started on the hards, but Conyo with a crucial incident in this race. Who's that? That's very close. It's Cher BM to the back of the man who crashed out in Q2. He's made 7 positions up in this race so far. 3 laps gone. We're about to start lap 4. It's Araludo, and he's held his lead from the start, and he's 3.5 seconds ahead of Sexy. Into the penultimate corner, Araludo, fastest lap after fastest lap after fastest lap. And Lewis getting a bit out of shape there. He blocks one of Cher's lines, but Cher's gone round the other line. And into P7 goes Cher. Lewis trying to fight back on the main straight. It's wheel-to-wheel racing. This is fantastic. It's called super close racing for a reason. They're almost touching. The Alpine and the Aston Martin. Conyo is retired. Things have gone from bad to worse. I think he's crashed out on the main straight. But please don't be a safety car. Don't interrupt us from this thrilling action that we're seeing in sector 1. Cher moves over. Can Lewis found it round the outside? What an overtake round the outside from F1 Lewis. He's found his way back into P7, but I think they may have touched. Either way, Lewis is off the track, and the man who made such a magnificent overtake to get himself up to P7 has now dropped all the way down to 12th, where Conyo did after his incident. But after some magnificent racing, the definition of super close, he's dropped from P7 all the way to P12. He made one of the overtakes of the season to get round Cher, but then I'm not 100% sure whether they touched or he spun on his own. But Lewis, he was lucky to not crash there. It's only a spin, but Conyo is more than a spin for him. He's out of the race. Vax on Zero Pinger's box, he's there, and Thomas is catching onto the back of both Ferraris. And is this starting to play into this man's hands between Rated and Sector? Because I don't think Rated really wants to go for the overtake on his teammate. That's very close between Kostya and Cher now. Cher maybe doesn't have the pace to stick with the pack out front, but Lewis did. But he's now dropped to 12th, of course. Kostya, 4/10 down on his personal best. He doesn't seem to have the best car in a straight line. Kieran May barges his way past Aiden with the DRS activated. We have yellows in sector 1 because that's an AlphaTauri off, and that's Zakopoulos in the gravel trap. He's made his way back on, but here comes the attacking back. Cher BM, maybe to get round him, he's going to go for the inside. Is Kostya going to be among the pack? No, he's let I think he's kind of breezed to let Kieran May through. But look at this, Zakopoulos right on the back, and so is Kieran May on the back of Zakopoulos. Is the Red Bull. However, the Alpine leading a pack of about 5 cars here, all the way from Dylan all the way up to himself. So the Haas here is being hassled by about every car that comes his way. Oh, did they make a slight touch there? SPG Dylan with the fastest lap of the race on the hard. Here comes Aiden round the outside of the Haas into turn 11, I think it is now that we're at. He's got the move done, and up into the more point scoring position does Aiden go. Of course, 1 point for P10 and 2 for P9. Aiden now into the chicane, holds a position, and there's a bit of a gap starting to form between these two and the rest of the pack ahead. So Kieran May, who was making progress on Zakopoulos, has kind of stalled a little bit, but remember, he's a very handy car in a straight line. Meanwhile, out front, Araludo has gained a 4.5 second lead, but both Mercedes have stopped on track. It's Jack McKee and Vax on Zero Ping. They're both last, and they're both stopped on track. Jack McKee gets going, but that was synchronized spinning for the two Mercedes. But as we saw just ahead of these guys, Zakopoulos getting back round Cher. Here's Kieran May trying to attack Cher, coming through out of Tamburello. He took a very nice line there to get prepared for the move. Round the outside, can he go for it like Lewis did? Not quite. Round the outside, was it there for Kieran May? However, he got very close again to the Alpine as he was a lap ago with Zakopoulos in the exact same corner. A bit of deja vu happening and forming for the Red Bull. Aiden still finding his way slightly behind, and Kostya really falling out of this pack, and his pace seemingly not there in the race. Kieran May right on the back of that Alpine. Can he find the move before the start of lap 7? Araludo with a 4.5 second lead, holding firm out front. A bit of the rear end started to slip away a little bit there, and we have another car off the track. But does that be, oh no, Jack's out of the session, and also I think there's a, yeah, that's a safety car, or is it a virtual? Araludo slowing. Is he going to come into the pit lane? He's staying out. Sexy, I believe, will stay out. I need to try and find it. That's a virtual, I think it said up there. Let's try and have a look on the back of someone else's car. This will give us the best view. It's a virtual safety car deployed, so you have to shut your pace down to about, I think it's 40%. You have to go of your normal pace. Aiden received a 3-second time penalty under the VSC. May is into the pit lane. One man has decided to be brave and come into the pits. It's Kieran. We've had non-stop action so far. This may be a chance in the race to get a free pit stop done and dusted onto the hard tyre. He's going to try and make them last the end of the race. Lewis, who of course had that spin after fighting so magnificently with the Alpine of Cher, is also into the pit lane. And he will be also transitioning onto the hard tyres. We've gone green, so he does not get as much of a benefit as this man would. But then again, not 100% of the benefit goes to this man. He's lost a little bit of time, and here comes Eweg. Can he try and find a way past the Red Bull? I think he's AI controlled at the moment, and he's not quite close enough to the Red Bull. That's on Zero Ping, looking really out of shape in this race so far. Bio is into the pit lane. A 5-second lead has now emerged out front after the safety car, and Bio was retired in the pit lane then. So Arapanik-Sunsky has fallen out of a second to Thomas. But let's go back to the battle that we've been seeing. Kostya, after the VSC, the very smart driver after the VSC, has got back towards Aiden. So 5/10 separate the Haas and the AlphaTauri at this moment in time. Going onto the main straight, Aiden will not have DRS, so this may be a comfortable move for the Haas driver. Another two men that are close to Cher and Zakopoulos. They've been close throughout. Zakopoulos without DRS, of course. Cher with DRS is going to breeze round the inside, the outside of the AlphaTauri, and up into 6th. Goes up into 6th goes Cher, but meanwhile dropping down towards 6th is L2 Setsi. He's had an incident coming out of Tamburello, and the Ferrari, who we thought would be battling with Araludo in the race, dropped all the way to 5th. We mentioned how it doesn't go to plan in the races, and he's dropped to 5th, and Cher will be gaining on him. But and Kostya surprisingly did not get past Dylan on the Aiden, on the main straight. We have yellows in sector 3. There's yellows everywhere you go at the moment. Lewis has had some kind of incident coming out of the final corner. He's going quite slowly as he makes his way back on the track, and will have 6 seconds worth of gaining to do if he wants to get back up towards Dylan. Meanwhile, Vax on Zero Ping is already being approached by Araludo as he prepares to be lapped in this race already. Yes, I said that correctly. Lapped in this race on lap 8. And Araludo, I think, is not quite within DRS range, but he may be, because he's gaining a significant amount of time on the main straight. So with the DRS wide open for Araludo, he's going to be on a little bit of a gaining mission on the Mercedes at this moment in time. Araludo approaching the Mercedes to lap him in this Grand Prix. Rated is now inherited 2nd from his teammate. He's about 5.96 seconds back on the leader. Arapanik-Sunsky is 3.9 back from the leading pack, and if he gets a podium, I'm sure he'd be more than happy with that. UFO Optimal gets past Kostya, coming out of the main straight into turn 1. Here's the Haas of Kostya, the one that we're all talking about at this moment in time for his lack of pace, unfortunately for him. But Eweg is currently gaining on Kieran May. Does he have DRS? Yes, he does. I do not think he's any longer controlled by an AI. We have double wave yellows and now single wave yellows in sector 2, because I think it was an AlphaTauri that had an incident there. Maybe it was Zakopoulos who oh no, I think it was Aiden actually, who was getting detached from the Haas and Aston Martin ahead of him, who had a slight incident, but all of that is now cleared up. This battle is not cleared up, but it's not really close enough to say that, really, because 8 tenths separate the McLaren and arguably the faster driver, Kieran May, on the hards. But of course, Eweg has been on those mediums throughout the entirety of this race. Aiden falling back from Kostya, which we thought would be the other way round only a couple of moments ago. I think that's how Kostya has actually got through Aiden. And Sunsky, the first man into the pit lane, out of those who have not boxed under the virtual safety car, the Williams into the pit lane. He's currently on the hard tyres. Interesting strategy call, considering he's on the hards. Maybe something's happened. I'm not 100% sure. Oh, has he got a drive-through? Maybe he had a drive-through. Yeah, I think he's had a drive-through for maybe a virtual safety car speed infringement. I think that's the reason why he's had to come into the pit lane, as we see him get back out onto track. And that's a shame for the Williams driver, who was in the podium positions, but of course had to serve the drive-through penalty or he would face disqualification. Here's Kostya still gaining on the Aston Martin. He's been involved in battles left, right and centre throughout this first third of this race. 10 laps gone and 22 remain in this race. Kostya then, he's 9 tenths back. That would be DRS. He's just got to fight to stay within 9 tenths, and that might help him because UFO Optimal getting out of shape, and he's definitely out of shape now, and he's in a wall, and out of this race goes UFR Optimal. I thought it would be a bit more minor than that, but it's definitely more major than that, because UFR Optimal is out of this race. And after trying to fight to stay out of DRS range, he's now that soon quickly turned into trying to fight to stay out of the wall, and he was unsuccessful, and he therefore in the wall. And we have a safety car, and Araludo, guttingly for him, has gone past the pit lane, which means all the cars will be able to get in the pit lane before him. Rated the first of those to do so. Thomas also onto hards. Sharon, what's he going for? He's going for the hards. Zakopoulos also coming in. Kostya has also boxed. Kostya stayed out, sorry, as we see this man changes wing as well as going on to the hards. And hard seems to be a popular choice, but he's going to have to re-box because he started the race. Did he box under the VSC? I don't think so. So a lot of the cars flooding into pit lane. Sunsky, who came in only a few laps ago to serve his drive-through penalty, into the pits onto the medium set of tyres, and he probably gives some of the best pre-race interviews, and I'd like to hear what happened to him when he received that drive-through penalty. So one car staying out, and that's Kostya, because Araludo, heartbreakingly for him, was just gone past the pit lane when the safety car was deployed, and therefore will have to go back round again as Lewis leaves the session. But Araludo, that's not ideal for him. He's going to have to come in, and whether he will stay ahead of Kostya is yet to be seen. As he's coming in, Araludo is now into the pit lane as Vax, the one in front of him, who has remained unlapped, he receives a 5-second time, I think, for speeding in the pit lane. The McLaren crew are ready for him, and is that? No, that's not a change of front wing. I thought it was for a moment. Hards on for the McLaren as he re-exits the pit lane. Kostya, I don't think will get past him, and if he doesn't, this man definitely won't. So Araludo, despite of course having to come in a lap later, he looks to have benefited from that in a way, because he's ended up ahead of Kostya. This is going to be a bit of a race, but as you can see, Kostya just emerging now at the back of your screen, and comfortably, you could say, Araludo emerges back in the lead of this race, and you could say it's all in his hands as we take a quick break. But when we're back, it will be the second half and the safety car restart of this race. Well, hello and then welcome back. I hope you didn't hear me eating everything because I've just realised I haven't had my mic on mute throughout that break. So, nevertheless, apologies if you had to listen to my probably irritating shamming over the mic. But safety car stays out then, approaching lap 14 of this race. Of course, 16 will be the halfway point. Araludo is on for a Grand Slam so far in this race, as I just checked the fastest lap of this race, and it's Dylan who has it at the moment, but he's second in terms of that. So if he gets, I don't think that's the biggest of his concerns at the moment, but however, he could be on for a Grand Slam, which would definitely not be the most shadiest of things. But Kostya, who has had relatively no pace, no offence to the bloke, but hasn't been the quickest of drivers in this race so far, is currently sitting in second, of course, staying out. The only driver to have completed every lap of the race on the exact same tyre. So he will be looking to just avoid getting swarmed from the restart. Of course, it's going to be difficult for him as he's on worn hards and everyone else is on mostly fresher hards, which is still an advantage. Some on fresher mediums, but he's going to be looking. I don't think he'll be looking forward. I think he'll be looking more back than he is forward. So it's not an exactly positive thing, but it's maybe not a negative thing considering he's second anyway. So that's probably the highlight of his race so far. And safety car should be in this lap. We have a Alpine going quite slowly, and that's Dylan. I don't think he should have a Delta at this point. Seemingly he does. I don't see why. Safety car is in this lap as he's overtaken by Aiden, and I don't know, has he got a puncture somewhere? I know Aiden's had to let him back past, and they got to catch up. I mean, come on guys, if you want to be with the pack from the restart, get through this chicane and get up to the back of Vax on 0 ping. But at the moment they would not be close enough because they are a couple of car lengths back, but they are now up to the pack, so we'll have everyone ready to go. This is the view of the car right behind your race leader Araludo, and can Kostya do anything from the start to stop this man running away? And off goes Araludo. This man has still been left in a different time zone compared to Araludo. Brilliant restart from the leader, but now this man is definitely looking in his mirror to TTV Rated, who is up and coming right on the gearbox of the Haas. Sparks flying off the back of the white car, but the red car, the Ferrari, the scarlet red Ferrari, trying to get past. The Haas had a nice little braking zone into turn 1, but has then threw that all away and lost his advantage again. Here goes Rated immediately from the restart down the inside of Kostya. Takes second. Kostya trying to fight back, couldn't with the lack of grip he's got on his tyres, but Rated immediately from the start takes second. However, Araludo is already 1.2 seconds in the lead. Sexy then overtakes Thomas, but now Sexy delegates his fourth place position to Thomas, and now sits back a tiny bit and then goes through for a second attack on the Red Bull. And Red Bull, who seemed so promising with Kieran May, and now seeming so promising with Thomas at this moment in time. 15 laps gone, we're about to approach halfway in this race. The Red Bull of and look at that, is that Cher going for a late move? Oh, they're so close to touching, and they once again in this race, an example of why this league is called the Super Close Racing League, because that was wheel to wheel and almost side pod to side pod. Down the inside goes Sexy. Oh, Cher has had to pull out because he was either in that or he was going to end up in the back of Kostya, and I'm sure he'd rather well, maybe he might or not rather, but I'm sure the stewards would rather one off than two. So Cher managing to go down to 10th, but then again, look at this dogfight ahead of him. Look at this, this is for fifth, sorry. Panitsunsky couldn't find it or Sexy, two of the quickest drivers this league has got to offer, and Sexy managed to maintain 5th for the time being. They're both on equal tyres, equal cars. Maybe might not feel like equal cars, but at this moment in time it is very much equal between these two drivers on this lap. Sexy trying to hold 5th and maybe looking ahead of him and trying to get up to 4th in this race. Sunsky for now is just looking at getting past the Brazilian driver, the championship leader of course. At this moment in time, Sunsky, one of the quickest there is to have, one of the quickest drivers there is around really, can't find his way through. Another one of the quickest drivers around, which is L2 Sexy, and no offense to Kostya, but he's not one of the quickest drivers around, but he's defending with all his might to keep his Haas ahead of the Ferrari of L2 Sexy on lap 16 in this race. We're halfway through. We've got yellows in sector 3, and there's nobody there, and they've been cleared up. As Kieran May gets a 3-second time penalty. As we've seen Thomas fly off, remember he also has, I think, a 3-second time penalty. This man will be looking to clear the Haas if he has any chance of winning this race. DRS enabled, he doesn't need it. He goes round the outside of the Haas. Into 4th place goes Sexy. Now can Arapati follow through? He's good, mate. Oh my goodness, he almost overtook the lot of them. Did Sunsky? He's definitely got past Kostra. Can he find the inside on Sexy? He leaves him just enough space. They've touched, and Sexy into the gravel goes L2 Sexy. Sexy has found his way into the gravel after Arapati Sunsky clipped him, and that's another car off that Vaxi. But L2 Sexy, after making a minor tap with Arapati Sunsky, ended up in the gravel, and Sunsky, who's one of the cleanest drivers, may have just made another driver error for the second night in a row. But Kostra, for now, is still in 5th. He's managed to hold his positions quite nicely from the restart, but Arapati Sunsky, this is the man all the cameras are on at the moment, because he's made a slight problem at this moment in time, because he may be receiving a penalty after the race from the stewards. Kostra holding his ground at this moment in time in P5. Kieran May will be approaching him, the quicker car of the Red Bull, but then when Zakopoulos comes, he will be quicker just due to the tyres, but in pure pace, I think Kostra may have that advantage. Kieran May then into the final sector is trying to get him at the start of lap 18 with the DRS assistant. Kostra is over a second away from Arapati Sunsky. So DRS enabled now then for Kieran, and he's surely going to just breeze past the Haas with DRS. More grip. Round the outside goes Kieran May, and Zakopoulos follow suit. He won't be able to. L2 Sexy couldn't find share after his incident, of course. But nevertheless, Kostra only got overtaken by 1, and Zakopoulos will be coming for him in the next lap. Arapati Sunsky on mediums, of course, needs to find his pace whilst he can before those mediums die out. He went a 10th quicker race button west. Oh, he's kept it there nicely. But now he's looking forward to the Red Bull. He may well be finishing on the podium here. However, he may need to pit again as his compatriot Sexy. Araludo, 1.1 second now in the lead. Couldn't race it in the final sector. Just get within DRS range. It doesn't look like he will at this moment in time. If he improves in the final sector, he will get within Araludo's DRS range, and may be able to start an attack for the lead. Rated, who's just proving his raw race pace and proving why he is such a contender wherever he goes, wherever he races. Into the final corner we go. Araludo, for now, maintains the lead as Rated will not have DRS on the main straight. Share is side by side with the AlphaTauri of Zakopoulos. Will he have DRS? Yes, he does. And so does Sexy. Zakopoulos, I don't think he does. Does he? Yes, he does. He has it on Kostra ahead of him, but he may be using it for Share on the next lap, because Share has got past him. Going into turn 1, Share down the inside, holds P7, and Sexy is right on the gearbox of the AlphaTauri now. Both teams at their home race. One of them probably has more importance to it due to the fact that he's a Brazilian driver, where that's more of a historic track for that nationality. Sexy coming towards the end of sector 1. He was on the gearbox of that AlphaTauri only a couple of moments ago, but has dropped back and is now half a second back. As we see Aiden starting to come into this battle, as he's starting to get within the DRS range of Sexy, and that would definitely bring him into this battle. Share has lost a bit of time on Kostra, but I think he's getting that all back in the space of 1 corner. He's getting 3/10 in that 1 corner. Starting to turn it on. He may have a chance of overtaking the Haas on the main straight. SCRL Kostra, they're in P6 at the moment. 18 lap hold hard. You wonder how much longer they're going to go before you start incurring the problems such as punctures and all of that stuff that he would not be wanting to get into. Share BM on the main straight then. DRS activated now, and he's on the back of that Haas. Surely it's going to be P6 for the Alpine. However, Kostra very handy in a straight line. Here we go. Down the inside goes Share. Up into P6 goes the Alpine. Kostra couldn't do a lot with the straight line deficit, but he can now. He's going to try and fight it back, but the lack of grip on those hards means that it's hard for him to fight back. However, the fighting spirit was the part that counted there. L2 Sexy is only a 10th back, and you get the feeling that this is going to be a bit of a swarm for the Haas at the moment, with Zakopoulos also a quick car behind, and Aiden is now really into this. He's 4/10 behind his teammate. We have yellows. Is that Araludo? No, it isn't Araludo. Oh my goodness, I got quite scared there for a moment. I thought Araludo was the McLaren that was causing the yellow, but he's just a lap car. And oh wow, Araludo had an incident. I cannot see him and rated on the track map. Is that where is Araludo? Oh, Araludo is there. He's just got a lap car ahead of him. Oh, boy, that scared me for a moment, but nevertheless, let's go back down towards Aiden and Zakopoulos. Aiden may make the move on his teammate. If I was a teammate, just let your teammate through, Zakopoulos. Well, no, actually, they're not teammates, remembering now, because Aiden is actually representing Alfa Romeo, and they touched, and Aiden's in the wall, and he's lost a bit of his front wing. But just as I remember that they're not teammates, that was proved by the contact between Zakopoulos and XPG Aiden. He needs to come into the pit lane to replace his front wing, and remembering it now, his points represent Alfa Romeo, so Zakopoulos showing no team fear, of course, because they're not teammates at the end of the day, and we're going to have to replace the front wing, and he's gone back onto the mediums, and now there's no doubt that they'll end the race for him, but the likes of Sunsky, I wonder if those mediums will go to the end of the race, as Araludo laps XPG Dylan in this race. Dylan trying to fight back though. Of course, he's got pace, and this it doesn't really seem like a problem for these cars because of course they're ghosted. However, it can put a driver off their usual racing line. Vax is out of the session. Is that a safety car in this race? And it is a safety car, and he's right on the middle of the track, and that is a full safety car. I expect this man will be into the pit lane to put a fresh set of rubber on. Will Araludo do the exact same thing? But we know TTV Rated and Vex on Zero Ping are very good friends, and I think he just helped out his mate there by getting them closer. Araludo staying out, Rated staying out, Thomas with the penalty will probably stay out. He's come in, Sunsky follows him, and Kieran also comes in. That might be a double sack. Cher is going to stay out. Of course, Jack, he had to come in, really. It was a no-brainer. Sexy, and then the Alpha Tauri of Zakopoulos tried to get round him. Eweg in, F1 Lewis, I think, will be in, maybe, and Aiden will be staying out, and Dylan will be staying out. Also, Eweg is in. So that's a bit of a mixed-up order now. Araludo staying out. That may be a race-deciding move. Rated actually came in. He left it very late to pull into the pits, but for only 3 cars staying out in this race. You've got the only 3 cars at the front staying out in this race. That's Araludo, Cher and Lewis, and with Araludo staying out, that may be a race deciding decision to stay out, and is that going to cost him? We will wait to see. 10 laps to go. Boy, is this going to get exciting. We're going to take a quick break, but when we're back, that's where the climactic ending will begin. Well, welcome back to this one, folks. We're gonna probably have one more lap of the safety car out. This is a man trying to catch up to the pack. Araludo believes he's lost this race with the potentially race-deciding pit stop decision to stay out on the soft tyre. Sorry, to stay out on the hard tyres, and a few orbs saying that the softs were the best tyre. So I'm gonna get the viewers involved now. Can everybody give me a prediction on who you think is going to win this race then, with 6 laps to go? Who you think is going to win this race? Message in the chat. And one more thing I'm going to ask the viewers to do in the chat is ask potential questions that you want to see asked at the end of this race to the top 3. You post them in the chat, asking some questions. And so Rated is predicted to win by a couple, and Thomas predicted to win by, I think that's UFR Optimal, who's out of this race unfortunately. But so put some questions in the chat, guys, and they will more than likely be asked after the race if I think they will suit the drivers that ultimately finish in the top 3. Hello, as a few more people joining the chat. So then, we have 6 laps of action to go, and as mentioned previously, if you have any questions you would like to be asked to the drivers, please feel free to post them in the chat, and they can be asked to the drivers themselves after the race, according to who finishes in the top 3. Will it be Araludo? Will it be Rated? Will it be even this man from all the way in 10th? Him and Sunsky have gone for the soft, and that may put him into an oblivion of pace for the man, the championship leader. We're going in this lap. Araludo is probably going to want to leave it as late as possible. And for Meki, who's just joined, you can join the league. There's a link in the YouTube bio. We'd love to have you on board. It's a community down here at SCRL. Well, this man is hoping a community doesn't form behind him because he wants to get away as quickly as possible. He's got a bit of protection from the 2 cars behind him also, who will be going quite slower than they usually would be. Here's Araludo from the safety car restart. We've gone green here on lap 25. Rated gets instantly past F1 Lewis for the final podium position, and Lewis on the fresh medium tyre. Callum Rated on the fresh medium tyres will now be fancying his chances of winning this race. And sorry about that. Dylan is out of this race. I doubt that's going to be a safety car immediately after we've just had one. And all Rated getting held up a bit by the 2nd place man, BM, at this moment in time. He probably has high hopes to win this race after getting straight past Lewis. Has already dropped down to 6th in this race. Sexy maybe not getting the safety car getaway that he would have wanted. Now here's Arapadik Sunsky right on the back of Thomas. What a brilliant corner he had there, and therefore he got a brilliant exit, and therefore he's made his way past the Red Bull up into 4th place. He's left him enough room for the inside, but he then covered it off, and Arapadik Sunsky clinically takes 4th. And in this race now, he may be fancying his chances as long as those softs can hold out. And Sexy, what's happened? Sexy off the track, and the man who showed so much promise in qualifying, and after putting those soft tyres on, we thought we would see the blistering pace of old, but Sher's got a 3-second time penalty. That hampers his podium chances. But Sexy also with a penalty, and that's when Rated gets past Sher, and Rated now has Araludo up the road, who has on 10 lap older worse tyres on the hards, and he now may be seeing himself in a position to win this race. Sunsky is onto the podium. He also may be seeing himself in a position to win this race on the softs, on the quicker tyres. So it goes from old hards to new mediums to new soft. All the probably quickest racers in the top 3 on track right now at the moment. The Sunsky finally finding that confidence in that Williams to push at his maximum potential that we all know he has. Sunsky then with 6 laps to go in this Grand Prix is on 4 lap old softs. Will they last the extra 6 laps? They would have to do 10 laps in this race if they're going to last out and maybe get him a race win. This man is already within a second of Araludo. This is going to be an absolutely mega climactic finish for the 2 men out front, TTV Rated and Araludo. But don't count out Sunsky just yet in this race. He still has high hopes of winning this race. Rated now has got to also look in his mirror, not just ahead of him, but he's also got to look behind him, because Sunski is on softs and he's like a bull in a china shop with the pace he's got. At this moment in time, Sunski has a penalty. That's crucial. Maybe he's getting nightmares and flashbacks to the race yesterday where he got a penalty that cost him a win. That may well be the same scenario today. However, he may feel free to push more now that he hasn't got to worry about one more warning until he receives a penalty. Looking down, Sexy has now got the new fastest lap of this race, but that's looking to be just a consolation to his woes. Eweg is in the wall. I don't think it's going to be a safety car. However, it could be, but it's not going to be. But Kieran May has dropped down into 7th position. Rated. How long is it going to take for the switch of positions to come? If it's going to come, you get the feeling it's more of a when, not if. The exchange of the leaders is going to happen, and that's this man's teammate who's back off the track. Eweg finding his way back on slowly and gently as Kostya, who's on the new tyres, of course, other than those old raggedy hards. He's moving up the order after I think Thomas has had an incident and he's getting himself back on track. Sexy may find himself back up into a few more major points scoring positions. Oh, he moved over under braking there, but Sexy had to really lock on his brakes to avoid cutting the corner, but he's held it for now. As here goes Thomas back round the outside of Sexy. Grand old battle here for 10th. Sorry, for 9th. That's Eweg again, I think, has had another incident. But I think DRS is now reactivated at the moment. Rated. 5 tenths separate him from Araludo, and on the final 4 laps of this race is going to be a race to the line. Sunski now, of course, with the 3-second time penalty, doesn't probably feel like he's got as much to race for. However, he's got a race to stay ahead of 3 seconds, so he can finish on the podium, and of course we can get our brilliant interview from him. And I'm going to mention it once again, if there's any questions you want us to ask, please put it in the chat. If there's any questions you want me to ask the drivers after the race, please put it in the chat. And another thing, stay here after the race for the drivers themselves. The press conference will commence relatively shortly after the race, but nevertheless we're still in the race right now. The top 3 could flip on its head, because Rated is 6 tenths off Araludo, and I believe DRS is activated on this lap, so I think we may be seeing the exchange of the lead come next lap. That's a yellow sector 1. It's gonna not affect these two really beneficially. Here we go, Eweg's out, and to be honest with you, we've got double wave yellows now. Is this going to be a safety car? I doubt it, but we've also got a Alpha Tauri stop, and that's Aiden. He won't be moving because he's out of the race. DRS activated, yellow flag, so it's green now, so they will be able to race for this. We will not be getting a safety car with 3 laps to go. If you finish the race now, you're going to be in the points. Here's Rated then. He couldn't find him that lap with the DRS. And also Sunski, remember, needs to pull away from Kostya if he wants to finish on the podium. Now Rated, 3 tenths separate him, 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix. The Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix has offered us up some treats throughout the weekend. On Friday it was tier 2, it was time for Jeslar and Splandi to fight it out for each other, but in the end I believe Jack McKee, no, it wasn't Jack McKee, I think it was someone, it was definitely someone unexpected that came through and won that race. In realistic tier yesterday, it was between Dylan and Arapatic Sunski, but Dylan cracked under the pressure, and eventually so did this man, sorry, not this man, Sunski as well. This man is the one who eventually cracked under the pressure at that corner as well, on the final lap of the race, which handed Wicked Red a win to give us level pegging in the realistic tier championship. Now in tier 1, TTV Rated is attacking the 4th place man in the championship, and the man who was third in the championship, is out of this race, and the man who is 1st in the championship currently lays 8th. So we go to the final 3 laps of this race then, and this man has got DRS. Is he going to get close enough into turn 1? He doesn't look so. He's not the kind of man that sends it from a long way back. Araludo 4th in the championship, Rated 7th in the championship, Sunski 6th in the championship. They're all at the top end of the championship, and they're all fighting for the top end points in this race. We have 3 to go. This is going to be the most climactic finish we've seen all weekend, surely, despite Sunski's drama, the late Jeslar and Splandi drama. It's going to all end in the next 3 laps. The whole weekend has led up to this, rated with 4 tenths separated over 3 days. It's all come down to the thickness of a paper as we come uphill, right-hander. It's all getting really close for comfort now, especially for this man out there in the lead on the hards. 18 lap old hards now. They're really going to start lacking the grip, and every corner that comes, this man gets closer, and he may be getting a few warnings on the board now, which may hamper his chances of finishing in the lead if he gets a 3-second time penalty. May we see another Sunski wicked deja vu incident, as it was yesterday, of course, when Sunski lost it after getting a 3-second time penalty. He's still trying to find himself bigger than 3 seconds ahead of Costa so he can finish on the podium. Is this finally the moment? We see Rated take the lead of the race on lap 31. 2 to go. Rated couldn't find it. He's trying to stick it, but he's gone onto the bumps, and Rated's round. He went onto the bumps and lost the car, and that's cost Rated a race win, and that may save Araludo a race win, because TTV Rated is round, and Rated, who got up on the bumps after trying to find the inside line, which ultimately wasn't there, finds himself in 4th now, fighting to find himself on the podium. Only a couple of corners ago, he was fighting for the race win. Araludo, is he at fault there? I think he did nothing wrong. I think Rated should have retreated there after finding there was no space and he was up on the bumps. ORB says it's Araludo's fault. He gave him no space. I'm not 100% sure about that. I think Rated, there was no more track for him to try and stick it on the inside of. He got up on the bumps and then spun himself round, and that may save this man from losing this race. He's got 1 lap to complete. This man, that might save him from a podium, because he is currently more than 3 seconds ahead of TTV Rated. And I can't believe my eyes after last lap, or second to last lap drama for 3 consecutive nights. This man was destined to win this race, but it's all fallen apart in the penultimate lap of the race. I really thought it was going to be his time to shine, but TTV Rated is now being hassled from behind. Kieran May, it may turn from bad to worse for TTV Rated in this race. He may drop down even lower than 4th in this race, but remember, not only has that avoided Rated's race win and may have saved Araludo's race win, that's also saved Arapadit Sunski's podium, and we will be hearing his world-class interviews after this Grand Prix. Kieran May then on the final lap of the race, trying to find a way through. This man, TTV Rated, may well be just within 3 seconds of Arapadit Sunski. Right now he's 3.6 at this moment in time. He was fighting for a win at some point in this race. Now he's fighting to simply just be on the podium. Sunski, and I think if he gets another penalty, no way is he finishing the podium. It's all falling apart. The softs are starting to fall apart. He needs to have a good corner if he wants to stay on the podium. It's not going to happen for him. Costa's getting closer. Rating's getting closer. It's not destined to be something that is destined to be. The man who took pole. He was so close to a Grand Slam. He led every lap of the race. Araludo wins in Imola for the first time this season. After late lap drama, Araludo finds a victory that he so dearly needed, and Kostya gets past Sunski, and Sunski does drop off the podium, unfortunately for him. But Viva España! Araludo has won for McLaren. And as they would say in England, come on Great Britain, because the English team has conquered in Imola. And Viva Italiano here in Imola, as he wins the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. It's unbelievable, as we could see whether he's going to be penalised for that incident with TTV Rated is yet to be seen. But let's, at this moment in time, treat it like a race win and endure the Araludo race pace dominance in Imola. However, the stewards will be talking to him after the race. Has he been a naughty boy, and will he receive a 5-second time penalty? Up onto the podium, he'll take to the top step with honour. He's been dominant throughout. The champagne soon to be sprayed for the McLaren team. 3 different constructors on the podium for the second race in the row, and for Rated, who stands right next to his compatriot. He could have been the one on the top step, but nevertheless it's actually Araludo who's on the top step, as he wins in Imola, and the champagne being drenched onto the McLaren driver, and deservedly so. Despite some controversy, he's come out on top here in Imola, and it's P1 for the McLaren team. So let's go through your order in full. Our XPG Araludo, EXP Araludo conquers Imola after a dominant performance. Costa in second for Haas, considering his hard fanatics. He done a decent job. TTV rated in third. He could have won, but nevertheless a podium is still not too shabby. Arapati Sunsky guttingly dropping off the podium after 3-second time penalty was applied. Share in fifth. Again, quite a quiet race. Kieran May couldn't extract his full potential. He's in sixth. Championship leader L260 may drop off the championship leading spot. He's in seventh. Zakopoulos in eighth. He did not have the best race that he would have wished for. Thomas in ninth. He had a couple of penalties. Lewis rounds off the top 10 and finishes. He was also lapped. So can I have everybody join? And I have XPG. I think I already have Culture Friended. I definitely have Rated Friended. And I just need Araludo. I think you're watching this stream. I'm going to need you to friend me. I don't know if I have Culture Friended. 100% have Rated Friended. Often on the practice circuits with him. So one of my good friends. So I'm a bit gutted that he hasn't won. But so let's have a look at, let's replay the moment that Rated's win slipped between his hands, and I'm on board with him at the moment. He went round the outside of Araludo, which quickly turned to the inside. Araludo squeezing a little bit, and then he tapped his wheel and spun. Araludo may be proved guilty for that, and I need everybody. I think I have Kostya already. I need I need Araludo to friend me. So everybody wait up. The post-race press conferences will be commencing. So all 10 of you stay where you are. And the post-race press conferences will commence in a couple of moments' time. I need Araludo. Araludo, if you are still watching this, I need you in the post-race press conferences, please. Yeah, there we go. Araludo has friended me, so there we go. I'm gonna get Kostya in, and I'm gonna get Rated in, and we are gonna get these post-race press conferences going. And Kostya is we'll get them going now. So that was definitely I'll accept him now. And our two friends. So we're just getting the So the drivers, the party has started. The drivers will be joining up. So for all 7 of you that have waited, the post-race press conference is joining. Araludo, just join up, mate, and we will get the post-race press conferences going. So Kostya has joined. And we will just wait up for the other two. And Araludo is now in, so we'll just wait for T to be rated. Okay, so Rated will not be in the press conference. So I'll start with you, Kostya. Of course, you had a very hard stint on the hards, and that did cost you some track positions. But you fought back your on the mediums. And how hard was it to hold those positions on the hards? Okay, and a question for you, Araludo. You dominated the entire race, but ultimately it seemed to be the wrong call to stay out on the hards, and then we had that slight collision with Rated. Talk us through what happened with Rated. Okay, and a question for the man that's just joined up, Sunsky. Of course, did you get deja vu after getting a penalty that ultimately sent you off the podium, as it did yesterday? And finally, one more question for all of you. How do you rate your chances of now conquering SCRL and winning the ultimately the biggest prize of all, the Tier 1 Championship? I'll come to you first, Kostya. And you, Sunsky? And finally, you, Araludo. Okay, thank you, and congratulations, guys. So that's it, folks. The race in Imola has been wrapped up. The main talking point is Araludo victorious, however, not without controversy, as Rated and him had a spicy collision. Nevertheless, that's a wrap here for the whole weekend in Imola. It's been an honour to commentate on all the way from Friday all the way to Sunday. We've had 2-man battles, 3-man battles, and most of all, and best of all, the realistic tier battle. Thank you and goodbye. See you next weekend.